moment for me, space to myself, space to breathe.
What's good? Yo, there's ROCKSTEADY, King of the Pit TV, Modest Mouse. The Lonesome Crowded West was the album we listened to. All 15 tracks of it was recommended on Patreon by my good friend Gary. Gary, you put me on to a record and a half with this one. I don't know how far this was within the band's discography. Like, was this their debut? Had they released like an LP before? More than likely to release like some degree of material, purely as, you know, to just jump straight into this project would be wild. But wow, 15 tracks. I mean, what I've got to say is going to be relatively basic in relation to the amount of material we've heard, the amount of topic we can cover as far as this project is concerned. But first and foremost, the sound was really good. I had a look at the information of the record, at least on the YouTube uploaded video. It was published in 1997. This sound is so ahead of its time. And most of that I would put down to the sound engineering. Now, don't get me wrong. These individual tunes were uploaded 3 years ago. So I don't know if this was a remastered recording I was listening to. I assume it was remastered because it was so good. It sounded so good. But with that being said, you know, you can't polish a turd. And this was not a turd. You know, the sound of this record was still very ahead of its time, if it was a remaster or not. So very, very good. It sounded like a mid to late 2000s record, not a 90s record whatsoever. Drumming was really good. Songwriting was really good. You know, I'm not the biggest on enigmatic, ambiguous, you know, arty-farty, creative songwriting. I just like things to be basic and to the point, which Modest Mouse don't do. They are a little bit, you know, artistic in their ways as far as lyrically speaking, but that doesn't detract from, you know, I wouldn't detract any points for that due to my personal taste. There was some great lyrics in here, some great lines in there. The vocal performance was pretty good. I was scanning the comments as I do during the listen through. I don't think people are too fussed on the actual vocal performance. No one talked about the quality of the vocal, as in the actual voice and the performance. People like the lyric. Yeah, people, as far as the vocals are concerned, more people like lyric. Some great dual vocals on this record. What else are we saying? The guitar work was good initially. Well, you know, instrumentally speaking, at the start, I thought it'd be a very guitar-centric band, but as we got on later in the record, the drums really came to the forefront of the instrumental. The bass line had its moments, very fruity, did its own thing, but wasn't necessarily, you know, at the forefront of the mix. Didn't really get given, you know, the props it could have. It's not a bassist's band. It's a good band. Everyone does their own thing. Everyone's cohesive. But, you know, it's not a bassist band. Guitars are very prominent. Drums are very prominent. Vocal lines very prominent. Bassist, unfortunately, takes a bit of the back seat in this situation. But, hey, someone's got to do it. Now, where do we go from here? Jeez Louise. Great use of dynamics, inventive structuring, you know, not abiding by traditional song structure, but writing songs where it doesn't matter. Like they can still structure it in a great way, whilst not relying on conventional structure and skeleton of how to build a song. But with that being said, I do think their best song on this record did follow pop structure to some extent, and that's Polar Opposites. Polar Opposites was my favourite. Great chorus, great energy, and at 3 minutes 30, you know, that fulfills the pop structure criteria. Like, you listen to it and you hit the chorus within 20 seconds odd. Really good. Some dynamic, you know, we had a few post-hardcore-ish moments, we had some indie rock moments, a couple of British elements, I would say, personally. Some would disagree with that, but we, at least in the 2000s, had a very strong, like, independent indie rock circuit and community with a lot of acts that sounded like this. Hey, maybe we gave a nod to the Americans in a lot of the music, but they've got a British sound to the same degree as to where I say Vampire Weekend has a British sound, in all honesty. You know, they've just got a something adjacent to the community we used to have in the mid 2000s over here, with the bands that were getting signed, you know. This was good. Yeah, a lot of emphasis on alcoholism, which I didn't pick up to a T. I know there's drinking references, but everyone in the comments are referencing, you know, bad drinking habits, negative drinking habits. So I guess that holds a large emphasis on this record. Now, this is going to be a good one because I got to rate this out of 10. This isn't what I would listen to. But I've got to be honest. I think this is a fantastic project. I think it's got a wealth of content, 15 very well varied tracks. Would I call any of them filler? Yeah, I'd probably remove 2 tracks. One of them being, I think Long Distance Drunk was filler. Shit Look, personally, I thought was filler. You know, I'd even put them both together, like jam them on as one track, maybe blend them into each other. That'd probably be a better way about it. I thought they were both filler tracks, but a wealth of material, great, honest, artistic effort, great sound, great production, great organic value to the music. We're not listening to some, you know, high-tech production line where everything's got to be robotic and tight and just like lacking of soul and spirit. Like, there is a genuine musicianship, organic honesty with the sound that's created here. It feels like you are in the room with them playing, you know, and the clarity of the guitars, of the drums, of the you know, you hear the vocals. Sometimes it'll be in the distance shouting and projecting to the microphone, and you can hear where he's standing and how distant he is from the microphone at that time, which is a lost art, really. Everything's so condensed and flipping compressed and horrible now. I'll give this record a 7.5 out of 10. Why don't I give it more? Because it's not necessarily music I choose to listen to. But that's not to say I don't see the value. I mean, arguably, if this was my cup of tea, I'd call it an 8.5. Some may call it a 9. It's a real good sound. I can't fault the sound of the band. I can't fault the artistic integrity of the band. I can't fault the way they create music outside of the bounds of what is like traditional songwriting, whilst keeping it, you know, sounding good and listenable and replayable. Because sometimes people are so experimental, you just like, I'd rather listen to just something catchy, you know. Hey, I'm signing out on that one. Peace, one, love. Till next time.